Hell isn't a word, it's a sentence. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
That's like kind of clever, like way more than this movie fucking deserves.
It also, like, barely, like, makes sense with the movie.
Yeah, it in the context of the film, it makes absolutely no fucking sense at all.
Like, the only thing that, like, I unless there's, like, the play on the word of, like, like, serving a sentence, I don't... Although Kane Hodder does say hell a lot in this movie, so... Anyway.
They couldn't call it Hell House because that was already a film.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 38 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm Kit.
And this week, we watched Kit's last recommendation ever on the podcast.
Same. Why don't you do this? Please stop me.
We watched Death House from 2017. I feel like we do about 5 or 6 movies in a row, and then you're like, oh, let's do this movie. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then we watch it, and I'm just like, God damn it, Kit. At least the sci-fi...
Mansquito's the only one that I knew what it was going into it.
And I mean, like, at least that was, like, the sci-fi ones are a fun watch. This was just baffling.
I just wasted an hour and a half of my life on this movie. Like, literally, I don't know what happened.
Not
like,
at all.
You might as well have hit me in the head with an anvil, and it would have been the same result.
Until about, like, 35, 40 minutes in, it feels like 4 or 5 different movies just intercutting together. It's very strange.
Are we sure that it wasn't that?
I don't know, it might be.
Still definitely could have been.
But there is the best scene with the elevator shaft later in the movie that I cannot wait to talk about.
Into my mind.
So this movie is, like, sort of marketed as the Expendables of horror movies.
Oh, they've got bad photoshops and everything.
I mean, it's like looking at just the cast. Like, it took me easily 45 minutes of just taking notes of, like, who's in this movie and, like, some of the movies they were in. And then I finally started the movie, and I was just like, I don't even know why I bothered with this, because this movie is going to be impossible to talk about. So we're just going to talk about the cast for an hour, probably.
I'm down with that. It's got like literally every big like 70s 80s horror name you could think of.
It's crazy. So the movie was direct. Oh, go ahead.
I'll say the downside of that is obviously like none of them have extended screen time together. They got all of these names so they could be in the movie for like a minute and a half each, except for Kane Hodder.
Yeah, like, for the most part, most of these people don't interact together, except for really kind of like at the end when there's like 5 people actually in a room together. The rest of the time, that's just kind of like quick shots, like just edited together, and the editing in this movie is fucking bonkers. Like, it's almost on par with Iron Fist Season 1's editing, where just shit, like, things are just cut every, like, 2 to 3 seconds, and it's, like, almost impossible to watch at points.
It's exactly like that scene that everyone was making fun of from Bohemian Rhapsody, where it's, like, 140 different cuts in, like, a minute and 20 seconds.
Yeah, that was, like, in the first season of Iron Fist, there's, like, a scene that somebody broke down where it's, like, a fight scene with something like in like 13 seconds there's like almost 170 cuts in it or some shit.
What the fuck?
And it's just like it's crazy. It's almost just like watching like a TV show as a strobe light. And that's what like parts of this felt like to me. And then there's like scenes like it's just shit fucking like
You just stop the sentence that it's just shit fucking. I feel like that sums it up pretty well.
there's just scenes where it'll just be like people, like two people having a conversation, but it will cut to the like back and forth between their faces like every 5 seconds, and it'll
Like
be
before they can even finish a sentence.
yeah, it'll be somebody just like giving a monologue, like Dee Wallace in this movie, just or like Barbara Crampton talking about whatever science mumbo jumbo, but it'll cut between the other 5 people in the scene every 3 to 4 seconds. So it's just like you never really get a long scene of just somebody doing something. It's just constantly cutting between shit. It's made it like very difficult to watch.
You know what I think would really bring that to people's attention is if every time there's a cut, it made the Law and Order sound.
Dun dun.
Yeah. Dun dun.
Okay, so
this already so exhausted by it.
This movie was directed by B. Harrison Smith. And
I assume he's done nothing else.
I mean, he had like a substantial amount of credits, just none of it was anything I was familiar with.
How could we have forgotten Camp Dread? Or ZK Elephant's Graveyard?
I saw Camp Dread in like a bunch of people's credits, and it's something I've never actually heard of. So
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of these are. Garlic and Gunpowder has my attention though.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff I saw in people's credits, especially when you get into like people like Felissa Rose and.
I was gonna say I see her and Michael Madsen and Vivica A. Fox in this movie.
This movie's got like is written by and like story credited by B. Harrison Smith, which is always a bad idea when it's written and directed by somebody usually. But also like a story by credit for Gunnar Hansen, who has like an uncredited kind of cameo in this movie, and also I'm guessing died maybe in the process of this movie being made, because there's like a in memory of at the very end.
Yeah.
Anybody who doesn't know who Gunnar Hansen is that is listening to this is wrong on many levels, but original Leatherface, bunch of other.
What was the film? I think he wrote and directed, right?
He did
Harpoon.
He did something.
Like some whaling massacre.
I don't know if I ever saw it, but I'm down to watch a movie called Harpoon.
God damn it! I'm googling. hold, please. This is the wonder of podcasts. I just Google this shit while we're talking.
Yeah, I don't. There's very few people that I see that have like who like wrote a movie and directed it, especially when it's kind of like campy or like B horror movies that are usually very good. A lot of the time they end up being not great unless you're like Lloyd Kaufman doing Nonsense for Trauma.
Who has a cameo in this film?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
By the way, it was the Reykjavik. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm terrible with Icelandic words. Reykjavik whale watching massacre.
There is a movie called Harpoon that I saw I came across, I think, looking at some of these people's filmographies. That's a much better title.
Agreed.
So the two people you spend the most time in this movie with are Cody Longo and Courtney Palm, who play Agents Novak and Agent Boone.
The two people you are absolutely not here to watch this movie for.
Yep. Which Courtney Palm was in The Purge Anarchy and Zombievers.
Oh, God. Having Zombievers flashbacks. It's a bad one.
I watched that movie and I don't remember anything about it. Which is probably a good thing.
It's 100% for the best.
So after minus those two, like those are the two kind of, and then like Kane Hodder, I guess would be probably the third person you see the most. He plays I'm not even like it's fucking character names in this movie don't even make a difference, but Kane Hodder's in it.
Yeah.
Played
See.
Jason and Friday the 13th, 7 and 8, and Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. Played Victor Crowley in like all of the Hatchet movies.
Yeah, underrated.
Yes. Oh, those Hatchet movies are so good. You also have Adrienne Barbeau, who like narrates something in this movie, who I also realized when looking at her filmography does a lot of work as like a computer narrator in horror movies.
Huh.
Like, yeah, it's weird. Like, a lot of her credits are just like, like computer narrator or like voice from computer or some shit.
Dude, I'm in. That's how I want to make a living.
No shit.
Let me be the computer voice.
She obviously from The Fog, Escape from New York, Creepshow, Swamp Thing, a bunch of other shit. There's a lot of people in this movie too that do like DC animated movies. They're in like a lot of Batman cartoons. Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes, Devil's Rejects, the absolute classic The Evil Within.
God damn it! I forgot that film happened and I watched it.
Yeah, that was another Kit recommendation. Barbara Crampton, my favorite part of the movie, from Reanimator, Chopping Mall, From Beyond, Castle Freak, You're Next, We Are Still Here, Beyond the Gates, Puppet Master, Littlest Reich, fucking a bunch of rad movies. And again, pretty much all of these people, like Barbara Crampton's got a pretty big role. She shows up a bunch. Dee Wallace from The Hills Have Eyes, The Howling, Cujo, Critters, Popcorn, underrated movie, The Frighteners. She was in Abominable, which I do not remember.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, but she's apparently in that. Rob Zombie's Halloween, House of the Devil, a movie called Robo-Croc, which I now need to watch.
It's bad.
Yeah, I assumed. And then she's in the upcoming, I'm guessing, sci-fi Critters movie, Critters Attack. Like, Dee Wallace and Barbara Crampton are the two kind of like special guests, quote unquote, in this movie that like you spend more time with than any of the rest.
Which is still not like a ton.
Say Dee Wallace has like a pretty substantial amount of screen time. She does a lot of like the explaining that takes up the first fucking 40 minutes of this movie. And then Barbara Crampton is just kind of like in and out of those scenes a little bit. Everybody else, for the most part, is maybe in 35 seconds of this movie up to maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah, they get like a scene or two.
But Sid Haig is in this, who has like 70 fucking years of credits. Or some shit. Like he goes back to like Spider Baby. But probably most people know him from like the Rob Zombie, like almost every Rob Zombie movie, like House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, Halloween, 3 from Hell is in. I didn't realize he was in Bone Tomahawk. For some reason, I don't remember that. And a movie that I think we're going to do sometime in the near future, Night of the Living Dead 3D, which I only assume is absolutely terrible.
I thought it was pretty good.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Was it the one with Bill Moseley, or am I getting them confused?
I think Bill Moseley is in the 90s one. That's the one that like Tom Savini directed. That's actually pretty good.
So the fucking 3D one is a totally separate thing?
Yes,
then I have not seen the 3D one.
The 3D,
Jesus Christ.
3D one is something that came out like maybe like a decade ago, if not like shorter than that. I just
JK.
I just remember like going to like Family Video or something to like look for a movie to rent. That's how long ago it was. And like the cover was like him with like a pitchfork, but like the pitchfork is coming like kind of at you from the box. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's no way that's good.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to watch it. Lloyd Kaufman is in this movie for about maybe 50 seconds total screen time. Who is the head of Trauma, directed like The Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High movies, Terror Firmer, Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. Will pretty much show up to any movie you want him in as like a special guest if you just pay for him to get there. Because he is in just a fuck ton of movies for about 45 seconds. They're all like the worst garbage movies you've ever seen.
Except Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes. It's fucking like his like relationship with Tim Gunn. Or not Tim Gunn. When he's on Project Runway with James Gunn.
That'd be incredible.
I would fucking watch.
I want more Lloyd Kaufman, Tim Gunn content in my life.
I would watch the shit out of an episode of Project Runway if Lloyd Kaufman was like a judge on it.
Yes.
Lloyd Kaufman is maybe my favorite. Like, Barbara Crampton is pretty awesome, but like Lloyd Kaufman's cameo in this is just Lloyd Kaufman being Lloyd Kaufman, but as like a surgeon, so it makes no sense. It's like he's
playing around with guts,
doing surgery, but doesn't have his fucking face mask on, so you could tell it's Lloyd Kaufman. And Camille Keaton from I Spit on Your Grave is in this. Bill Moseley is in it, being awesome like Bill Moseley is from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He's in the Night of the Living Dead from the 90s. He's in
Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3, right?
Yeah. He's in Army of Darkness, which I did not realize.
Yeah, he's a Deadite captain.
Yeah. I haven't watched Army of Darkness in a long time, but like...
It's super impossible to tell that it's Bill Moseley. Yeah,
I kind of assumed because I was just like, once I read that credit, I was like, is it just like his voice? Is he a skeleton? Like, I couldn't remember him being in it. House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. He's in Texas Chainsaw 3D, which I have not seen, but now I need to. Because he put 3D in it, I'm immediately like, I'm going to watch that.
It sucks shit, but he's good in it.
I mean, most of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies after the reboot are pretty terrible.
Yes, I dare say all.
I'll back that first one. Mostly for like the scene of the dude like on the meat hook where just his toes are touching the piano keys and shit.
Oh yeah, I like
awesome.
The reboot.
Yeah,
the remake in 2003.
Yeah,
I think it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'll back that. Everything after that is that I've seen at least is hot garbage. Tony Todd from Night of the Living Dead from the 90s, Candyman of course, The Crow. Like almost all of the Final Destination movies, Hatchet 1, 2, and Victor Crowley. R.A.
Mihailoff.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that last name. But was like played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. He was in Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings, and Hatchet 2. Sean Whalen from People Under the Stairs and Idle Hands. Hatchet 3. Then Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and an upcoming 3 from Hell. Debbie Rochon, who is credited as Leatherlace.
Oh, God.
Who I didn't realize has an uncredited role in Vampire's Kiss, which is a 10 for 10 movie. But she's in like fucking every B horror movie made since like 2002. But I guess mostly I know her from like the Trauma movies like Tromeo and Juliet and Terror Firmer and Citizen Toxie. Felissa Rose, the mangled dick expert from Joe Bob. And pretty much like the reason anybody knows there's Sleepaway Camp and the Return to Sleepaway Camp. Tiffany Shepis from Abominable and a bunch of Troma movies. Fuck, what's this name? Fuck, I can't read this dude's name. Whoever this dude was in Friday the 13th 3, Larry Zerner? Yeah, I don't know. I'll just go with that. I can't read my fucking handwriting. Beverly Randolph? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Return of the Living Dead. And there's just about 900 other fucking people in this movie.
How dare you forget the best one, though?
Which one?
My man Vernon Wells from Road Warrior and Commando.
See, I was mostly writing down people that were in, like, that I know from, like, kind of notable horror stuff. I remember seeing him in here, but, like, I don't know. I was like, this is going to take us a fucking 2 hours just to get through this goddamn cast if we do everybody.
I don't know if he's really in a bunch of horror stuff. He's done a shitload since the 2000s.
Yeah, like, almost everybody in this, minus when you get down to some of the just kind of, like, people in, like, the mob scene or whatever. Like, they all have, like, pretty, like, successful careers of just being, like, in, like, B horror movies and shit, and, like, a lot of TV shows. Like, there was a lot of people, like, I was trying to find a fucking Seinfeld reference that I somehow was not able to with this fucking 800-person cast. But there's, like, a lot of
I can't believe Kane Hodder was never in an episode of Seinfeld.
That would have been fucking amazing. I mean, I figured maybe, like, Adria Barbeau, which I feel like I guess I would have remembered if that happened, but, like, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of late 90s, early 2000s kind of, like, TV show guest appearances in this cast.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie, like, if you go to, like, just the cast on IMDb, minus the people we like I named, there's easily 75 more fucking people in this movie. It's crazy. And then, like, it doesn't even make a difference because you don't see almost any of them for more than, like, a minute, and a lot of them you can't see because the fucking lighting in this is abysmal. Like
50 minutes in, it's just, like, pitch black.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know what's happening.
All of the lighting for about 2/3 of this movie is from flashlights and, like, a red light that takes over, like, the entire screen. So, like the power goes out at some point, and then it's just, like, this kind of, like flashing, but, like, one of those slow flashes of, like, a red light. So it'll just be, like, darkness for a good 3 seconds. And almost anything you see through the rest of it is just through a flashlight. The one trivia thing that I think is kind of interesting is that early drafts of this movie were written to be possible scenes for the Saw franchise.
The fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. Watching the movie, I don't
see that at all.
Unless they were just like, the only thing I could assume is that maybe somebody had the idea of, like, Saw going into, like, a virtual reality.
That sounds atrocious. I'd watch it probably.
Oh, I mean, I'll still watch it. I'm gonna watch. The only news I got this week that I just fucking we just do now is the, like, Chris Rock Saw news.
Oh yeah,
Which,
I'm in.
I mean, I'm not in, but I'm gonna watch it anyway because I don't need another Saw movie.
Yeah, if there's any reason I'm out, it's not because it's Chris Rock rebooting Saw. It's that it's more Saw.
Number one, we don't need a Saw reboot. Like, if they're gonna do it, like, just fucking, you can just continue that story somehow. Just somebody else takes up the mantle. Or do, like, I guess maybe, like, soft reboot where somebody just takes over the Jigsaw name and it's just a new person. But, like, if they're legitimately going to just go back and kind of, like, remake the first Saw, like, why bother? it's. I mean, I guess at this point that movie's probably almost 20 years old, but still, that's.
That feels terrible.
I was trying to do the math in my head, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's." I mean, it's probably.
Came out in 2004.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah.
like,
Fuck.
yeah,
15 years.
yeah. Oh, boy.
I don't like that. Saw can almost drive.
The rest of this podcast is just gonna be me crying.
Yeah. Lamenting where time has gone.
So I don't know how the fuck we're gonna discuss this movie. I don't know if we could even this.
We're gonna give it the old college try.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting because this is a movie that's going to be incredibly difficult to go through like we normally do, of just going through the whole movie. Especially because all of my notes are just what the fuck is happening.
Literally none of it makes any sense, and it's damn near impossible to follow.
Yeah, there's points where like scenes happen, but the scenes are maybe 50 seconds long, and it'll be like 10 of those in a row of just vastly different things. Like the shit, like Lloyd Kaufman's scenes in this movie cut or interspersed between other shit happening and are only on screen for maybe 5 seconds at a time. It's this. This is gonna be weird. So this movie opens with Tony Todd. I'm referring to every single person in this movie by their actor name.
Yeah, it's real names.
Except for the agents. There's like the only people whose names I even fucking bothered with. But Tony Todd has some woman he's carrying through like the desert who he's immobilized somehow. This is like literally my second note is what the fuck is going on. I like he just like drops this woman by like a sewer grate, and you just hear people inside screaming, and then he like eats oil from a fucking water faucet. I guess I don't know what that was all about.
Normal, typical day.
And he like forces her to eat it, and then just like I don't know, pulls something out of her stomach, and like she's just still alive, I guess. And then he just like puts,
I mean that's a theme in this film.
I guess
pulling stuff out of stomachs and people live.
Well, does he put something in her stomach like the guard later in the movie? I don't think he does. I think he just like pulls something and then it's just like puts her in his van and just fucking. That's the end. End of movie. Yeah, I don't know. This scene just like this opening scene makes no sense tied with the rest of the movie unless he's like, is he kidnapping people for this place? Like, I don't know if it's ever like really explained. Because like Tony Todd's scene bookends this movie, and it's just like this dude in the desert who's like kidnapping a girl, and then at the very end he comes back and he's like kidnapping some other girl in the desert, and like that's like you don't really get any explanation, and the only thing I could assume is that he's picking up these girls to be victims in the death house. Like, you know how they have like that casting, the scene is like casting people or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't like. The only thing I could put together is that that's what he's doing. I already we are 45 seconds into this movie and just baffled.
Yeah. Already makes no fucking sense.
Oh, Paul, what are you doing? Paul's trying to pull my headphones out. You immediately cut to Kane Hodder about 3 minutes into this movie, straight up being a Nazi.
Yep.
It
goes from zero to Nazi very fast.
Yes. Agent Boone is like, I guess, undercover working for him, and he like Kane Hodder has her kill, I don't know, 2 Nazis like that were working for him, and then she reveals herself and like shoots him in the leg. I guess arrests him. To which you immediately cut to him being escorted into the death house, to which he tells her, "I will fuck you in hell." The first time he mentions fucking and hell in this movie. Then, I don't know, some shit happens.
You're gonna hear that a lot on this episode, I think. I don't know, some shit happens.
There's like an uncredited cameo from Danny Trejo in this movie. I don't know why it's uncredited. But like somebody shows Agent Boone a projection, some VR thing of like her mom being murdered by Danny Trejo, and she shoots him even though it's VR. I don't understand any of it. Then my next note is just Leatherlace. What the fuck? I think that was Debbie Rochon playing Leatherlace. Yeah, there's just like this weird scene of like, I think Dee Wallace and somebody else playing one of the doctors in this movie, watching some sort of like video of this character named Leatherlace who is trapped in some VR thing that also her dad is talking to her, who is the uncredited cameo from Gunnar Hansen. But she is literally just like a female Leatherface. It's just more crazy nonsense.
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, it's not subtle.
It's like, it's literally just like a woman with a chainsaw wearing, I guess,
a face.
Yeah, like she's got somebody's face on, but is wearing kind of like a lace teddy with an apron over it, so Leatherlace. This was my second time of writing What the Fuck is Happening. You are introduced to Dee Wallace and I think Barbara Crampton at this point, where they're talking about like patient experiments, or like that's like a lot of my notes are just like patient experiments ?
So you can't ask me what is happening at any given point in this film, because I'm not gonna help.
Like literally the first 40 minutes at least of this movie is these agents being like toured around the death house, which is essentially a bunch of criminals, I guess, like a bunch of like the worst murderers and like serial killers and like whatever are kept there, and kind of not like a cryostasis state, but like at times they're kind of like put on ice to be kept there, and then they're like in this weird VR thing where I guess they're being studied, and they're just kind of like allowed to murder people in virtual reality. And I think
this seems like not the cheapest option the government could have gone with.
I mean, for real, like I feel like the government wouldn't even bother with VR. I think they would just have them straight up let them murder people to figure it out.
Right?
There's some. Wait, did we? I think we passed up the insane shower scene of both agents Novak and Boone just taking a shower, like together, but under like separate shower heads, like kind of like I guess like a prison shower. But discussing their tattoos and how they don't remember how or why they got them. That never comes back. But this scene is easily 2 hours long.
They're just horribly irresponsible, going and getting tattoos they don't remember.
It's just this like weird scene of them showering without soap, like inquiring about the tattoos they have, and just like 1 million cuts going back and forth between their faces as they're talking, and then like showing Agent Novak's ripped body and Boone's boobs a lot. It's incredibly weird. There's some weird, gratuitous nudity in this movie. Just to have boobs. It's ridiculous.
It is extremely gratuitous. It's why the word was invented, I think.
Like, I like the shower scene. I'm like, okay, like whatever. I don't understand why they're showering, but it's like, at least there's a sort of exposition being had. At some point, somebody just rips off like two women's gowns to just be like, look, boobs.
Yeah.
The agents are given VR headsets and like are told to watch, or just like watching, I guess, an explanation of what the death house is, and like are getting like a backstory on the 5 most evil people, who are like Bill Moseley and Michael Berryman. 3 others.
Was it really only 5?
Yeah, it's the 5 that...
It seemed like they ran through 45 different character cards when they were introducing all of them.
You do get more. You get the 5 evils who are the people at the end, but then you get like one on Kane Hodder's character. I think maybe one on Sid Haig's character. You at least see Sid Haig at this point because he like interacts with Agent Novak, where Sid Haig got paid, which granted he's probably, God, 80s maybe in this movie.
I think so.
Like 70s at least, but like maybe in his 80s, which he looks much better in this in 2017 than he does in any of the promo stuff I've seen from the upcoming 3 from Hell. He looks fucking old in 3 from Hell.
Yeah, he's 79.
Yeah, he's up there, and I mean, he works pretty much constantly. So, he's somebody that when I was going through like their filmography has like a bunch of crazy like TV show work that I just was unaware of. Like big shows, like I don't think this is one of them, but shows kind of like Quantum Leap type stuff.
Oh yeah,
like he is like a pretty ridiculous catalog behind him, but he has this weird back and forth with Agent Novak about, I don't know, he murders 2 people and then asks Agent Novak if that like something, if he's like sexually aroused by it or some shit. It's real fucking weird. You cut to some guard outside who finds like a bloody rag on a barbed wire fence and is immediately killed by somebody in a dumpster, who plants some sort of device in this person's like stomach after ripping out part of their intestines. Oh no, so after this is when you get the shit. I've just put, what the fuck are these 2 talking about tattoos for? This is the shower scene where the 2 agents are just talking about their tattoos forever. And you immediately get a 4 to 5 second cut of Lloyd Kaufman doing surgery on this guard that was killed outside. And immediately after about 5 seconds, cut back to Barbara Crampton, who is giving some sort of fucking science nonsense dialogue in VR. My third or fourth time just putting what the fuck is happening is this casting scene where somebody is explaining the casting process for Death House to the agents about how they cast, quote unquote, people to be murdered in the Death House, and like I keep them drugged, and they have it set so they're cast by like their visuals, the way they look, the way they smell. It's very fucking weird.
At this point, the movie totally lost me, and I just had no idea like why any of this was happening or what the point was, and it somehow just got worse and more confusing.
This movie could have literally been 10 minutes of, this is a death house. It's a place where, like, killers are kept who we study through virtual reality, where they're allowed to kill people through virtual reality, and we can study them. And then it could have just been, like, the breakout, and then, like, a bunch of action, and, like, the agents trying to, like, live through it. Instead of 45 minutes of just nonsense, like, science dialogue about virtual reality and serial killers that, like, makes no sense. I don't need to know how they get people for this place. Like, it's crazy. But this is the scene that, like, as, like, somebody is explaining, like, how they cast these people to be, like, the victims in this, and they just rip off these two women's gowns to just be like, oh, some of them like big boobs and some of them like these kind of boobs, and, like, it's crazy. You get another 3-second clip of Lloyd Kaufman doing surgery, and then you get immediately cut to a scene with the three Satans that lasts.
It's so weird, and it takes up so much time.
Oh my god, it's crazy. Like, I don't understand the three Satans. I
don't understand the purpose of them in the movie.
Yeah, I don't get any of it. Like, three maybe mentally ill people that think they're all Satan.
One is the creator of Satan. One thinks he's the son of Satan, and I can't remember what the other one's relationship was. Yeah, I don't know if it was like father or something.
Really, for the most part, you get easily 10 minutes of this fucking nonsense with these dudes just for one of them to come back later in the movie and immediately be killed.
Did he? I wasn't even paying enough attention to realize that.
He's who gets crucified by the five evils.
Oh, okay.
Because he's got, like, there's some nonsense about this one of these dudes that, like, needs a mask or some shit, and he gets his mask, and I'm guessing maybe he leads Kane Hodder's group to the five evils. I don't fucking know. One of these three Satans attacks Barbara Crampton and is saved by Agent Boone, and then you cut back to Lloyd Kaufman again for 3 seconds. You get more nonsense with Dee Wallace just, like, walking these agents around. Immediately cut back to Lloyd Kaufman again, who pulls whatever fucking device was put in this guard's stomach, which I'm guessing is some sort of, like, what are those devices called where it just, like, cuts out all power? MP3? No. Fuck.
EMP?
Yeah. I don't know why I said MP3.
Everyone's got an MP3 player in their stomach in the death house.
But this thing goes off and, like, cuts off all of the power to the death house. They're on, like, an hour backup generator or some shit. But so now pretty much the rest of the movie is in the dark or red light or flashlight. All of, like, both agents and Dee Wallace are trapped in an elevator. Kane Hodder's character, who I'm guessing is one of the worst killers, is, like, attached to a chair that has his hands in some sort of fucking... His hands are, like, in some, like, weird metal tubes with things, like, two wires, like, implanted into his chest that, like, if he tries to escape will kill him or some shit. But when the power goes out, 2 guards have to, like, take this shit off him and, like, put him back in some sort of, like, cryostasis state before, like, whatever gas is keeping all of these patients like knocked out and in VR in place. I don't fucking know. But he comes to and kills these two guards. All of the criminals at this point have broken out of wherever they are kept, and just a scene of like all of these criminals killing all of the doctors in this place that lasts easily 20 minutes of them just bashing on people in the dark, so you can't see any of it, but you just see like a close-up of some criminal just swinging on somebody forever. Kane Hodder comes walking out with the heads of two guards that he killed and yells at the group to listen to him. He is immediately shot and falls from this second story.
So rude.
Which I was like, I am officially on board if they just killed off Kane Hodder like immediately.
That's what I thought they did, and I was like, wow, that's a bold move.
I was like, okay, I don't know what's happening, but that's kind of fucking interesting that like he comes out is supposed to be like the baddest fucking killer, and then he's just immediately killed. But he falls from this ledge, and some fucking giant dude comes out and rips his intestines out, and Kane Hodder just gets up and is just like, I'm good.
It's fine. Don't worry about me.
He gets up and sort of like addresses this group for a second and walks up to the dude that ripped his intestines out and says some shit about how like when you're in prison you're supposed to go up to like the biggest dude in the yard and like fuck him up to prove you're not to be fucked with. And so he like kills this one dude, and the dude, like the guy that was working with the dude he just killed, is like, I will follow you to hell. And Kane Hodder says, just the place I'm going. That's the type of dialogue in this movie.
The delivery was so awful. That dude just like out of nowhere, like, I'll follow you to hell. Who are you, sir?
Then you like immediately cut back to the agents in the elevator, and Agent Novak does like a Terminator impression. But so if you were wondering if there was an I'll be back or whatever he says in this movie, there is. Agent Novak like goes, like they all go to like escape the elevator. It's the agents and Dee Wallace, and Agent Novak goes out first to make sure everything's okay, which he is immediately attacked and threatened to be raped by some prisoner. Agent Boone eventually like gets out and like saves Novak, and the three of them kind of go walking through, or like, you know, trying to figure out what's going on and like exploring this fucking death house place. They are attacked again by like more criminals, and one of them says something kind of gross to Agent Boone, to which he replies, "You want penetration?" and then shoots him.
God damn it.
I hate this so much. This is just like a long scene of a bunch of shit in the dark of these three just walking through this prison and trying to find somewhere to like hide or to escape. Dee Wallace takes them to a room with a bunch of skinless people.
Oh, this scene was pretty weird.
I think this is supposed to be like this, like in like basically these the Russian gas experiments where they put those people in like, or
yeah,
like the
like
fucking,
the sleep experiment.
Yeah, the creepypasta thing. Because I know specifically that they like the line "we don't want freedom anymore" or whatever was in that like story, and they say that in this, and it's like a bunch of these fucking skinless people. One of them that is eating another one that looks like a baby. One of them is just crying into a microphone, and they keep repeating that they don't want freedom. They look fucking horrible. It's
very gooey.
Yeah, like the one that's screaming, like the face on the puppetry is just
Face is real bad.
equally bad, but also horrifying. It's real weird, and like I think, like, granted, I don't know what the fuck was happening throughout this movie, but this is the first point I was just like, Jesus Christ, what is going on? 'Cause they just walk in and it just cuts to like this weird skinless face crying into a microphone, and I was like, I literally have no idea what this movie is about.
You know what it is? Death House is really just a skin farm. There's farming skin from people.
I mean, that would make a better movie.
Trying to build their skin empire.
So they're like hiding in this fucking weird Russian sleep experiment thing. Kane Hodder and all of these criminals find Barbara Crampton and make her take him and them to the three Satans, which I guess only one of them is in this room at this point. Oh no, I guess all three of them in there, because the one Satan gets his mask back and goes with Kane Hodder's group, and the other two attack Barbara Crampton, so she's killed. Dee Wallace delivers a bunch of dialogue after they leave this sleep experiment chamber of where they keep the quote-unquote homeless, which are, I guess, what they call the people they can't use anymore, that they just leave in this room to kind of like deteriorate to the point that they disappear. I guess. Maybe. And some shit about a kill switch, which would like is something that somebody has to do that would release like a gas that would kill like everybody in the death house if it was like, if there was like an emergency. But all of the homeless are hanging from the ceiling and just like in bags deteriorating or some shit. They hear Kane Hodder and the group coming, so they decide to jump up and hang from these bodies to hide from them. Dee Wallace at this point is like 60s, if not in her 70s, and can't hang on these bodies and falls and dies. She doesn't die like immediately because she has like she delivers some line to the agents, but like she falls and Kane Hodder's just like, oh, another doctor, and then just fucks off. He's like, oh, whatever. So I think
This movie's so fucking dumb.
I don't like. It's just fucking baffling. You cut to this weird basement that I just realized now as I'm like looking at my notes. So they're walking through this basement and they have like, it's all like lit up by flashlights, and you see those, like, you see like a creature scurry by. Like, did you catch that? So as they're walking through and they're flashing the lights and they would come across like hallways, like you barely see it, but like some creature goes like running through the hallways that I just realized like there's no explanation for. Like that creature's just like not seen again. Like you see it when the Kane Hodder, you see it like twice during Kane Hodder's group walking through, and I think maybe once when like the agents go walking through. And I just realized that like that, whatever that is just not explained. But so Kane Hodder's group and that, like they're walking through this basement, and then you cut to the agents who realize they need to get to the basement quick. So I can't. Oh fuck. So their plan is to somehow, they have like, I guess, something on their hands, and their plan is to quickly drop down this elevator shaft while holding on to the wire holding the elevator up, which would disintegrate your hands in real life. But they are free falling down this elevator shaft to what, Hatebreed?
It sounded like Hatebreed.
It's some like.
But they're moving at like lightning speed, holding onto this the elevator cable,
and shooting.
And they're just shooting. Like it didn't even show any people. Like it just shows them like shooting. I mean, it's an elevator shaft. They're just shooting the fucking walls, and then they're shooting down at the abyss. Like it's the most weird cuckoo shit I've ever seen.
I just thought about it. Are they firing to get a glimpse of light? I'm guessing they're shooting to maybe see where they're going.
You're giving this movie way too much credit.
I mean, yes, but it's jarring.
I'm going to assume.
Well, go ahead.
I'm going to assume it's like the A-Team, where the tank drops out of the airplane, and they just aim it at the ground, and they fire shells to slow their descent. Or they're just firing guns down to try and slow their descent down that elevator cable.
The thing about this scene is that, like, the score to this movie is pretty quiet. There's a lot of, like, synth stings, and then it's just kind of, like, ambience in the background. And then all of a sudden, this loud, like, new metal-y hardcore shit for, like, 25 seconds, and then back to, like, near silence. It's
like for no reason.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Somehow the agents are able to get to the room with the 5 evils before Kane Hodder's group, and when they walk in, they find one of the 3 Satans, the one that needed the mask, is crucified. And the 5 evils come out and, I don't know, deliver a bunch of fucking nonsense dialogue that makes no sense. I don't, like... As if we didn't understand anything happening prior, this scene just put it over the top. That I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. They are somehow criminals that were turned into gods that want released so they can take over the world? ? I mean, the scene makes no sense, but Bill Moseley, I like watching him act, especially when, like, his performance in this is just, like, real, like, monotone and understated, but I think he's pretty good at what he's doing. And Michael Berryman just looks cool as, like, old Michael Berryman. I don't understand anything that's going on, but they deliver a bunch of good dialogue, and then the intestines on the ground from this crucified Satan dude starts showing images to the agents of other death houses in, like, a multiverse scenario. So intestines are now showing people other possible futures, I guess, or other.
Why not?
I don't know. Oh, this movie is terrible. Kane Hodder comes in, and, like, he apparently is some sort of immortal. And so he's the only one that can walk through, like, this weird lightning gas shit that keeps other people from getting to the 5 evils. He comes in, proclaims that he's a god, and that nobody can hurt him, and the 5 evils are just like, okay, well, we'll see about that. And they let loose the kill switch, which kills everybody in the prison except for the agents and them. And at first it doesn't affect Kane Hodder, but eventually he just explodes into some terrible CGI flames. After this, the power comes back on and the agents leave, and the end after a quick 30 seconds with Tony Todd kidnapping another woman. So that is this movie that I suggest everybody watch, and somebody tweet at us at I Hope You Suffer and tell me what the fuck this movie is about.
I want an essay.
Yes. Your homework.
I want a detailed explanation.
I wonder.
I want character motivations. I need profiles.
I wonder if B. Harrison Smith is on Twitter. I'm gonna fucking find him and be like, explain yourself.
Yeah.
You wrote this shit.
Yeah. Explain the elevator scene.
I do not understand any part of this movie. How it was made. How they got all these people in it. This is maybe, no, not even maybe. This is more confusing to me than The Evil Within.
It must have been a solid payday, right?
I don't know. I'm guessing, like, because if Gunnar Hansen, like, helped write it, I'm guessing it was probably just, like, favors.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sure they got paid, but it probably was just, I mean, they're all, like, quick cameos. They couldn't have got paid much. I would be curious. I wonder how long this movie took to film. Because, like, I can't imagine it was easy to get all of these people on, you know, like, a 1 month time schedule.
I'm pretty sure it had been in development for a while.
I mean, it has to have been.
Like it had a bit of a troubled production, if I'm remembering correctly.
I mean, I would guess so. Somebody was probably just like, what is this movie about? And they were like, I don't know. Just film your shit. Say something about 5 evils. A bunch. You'll be good. Yeah.
Lucky Robert England not being in it.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. Like, he was probably just like, what? No.
He
he
says he said that he was never given a script.
Oh, was he, like, at least he was approached, though?
I guess. He just got a very vague quote about it.
It's interesting. I mean, this movie didn't need more people. It didn't need half the people that were in it. Like, the Tony Todd shit, like, makes no sense. That did need to be there. Like, almost, and that's the thing, is when you go through it, almost every fucking cameo in this movie is, like, a doctor. Like, and they, like, it's just, like, Doctor Whoever. Like, I don't even think, did Felissa Rose even have fucking dialogue in this movie?
I don't think so.
Because she was one of the doctors in, like, the casting scene. I don't remember her even talking.
I genuinely don't even remember her being in the movie, so...
Yeah, she's like one of the doctors in that, like, scene with, like, where they're, like, explaining their casting process where the dude just talks for fucking 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't watch this movie because it's straight up garbage, but also watch it because it's baffling straight up garbage. And if you can explain it to me, I want an explanation. The only news I had was the Saw thing. I don't know if you had seen anything.
No. Not anything that, you know, made me go, oh shit.
Yeah.
So, if there was anything, it wasn't good. I forgot it.
Do you want to shout something out, something positive, because this movie was absolutely nonsense?
Sure. I finally got around to listening to the last Casey Musgraves album after slacking for, like 5 or 6 months. And it is really good and delightful, positive country jams. I highly recommend everyone check it out.
I mean, sort of on that note, only thing I care about right now is the new Carly Rae Jepsen album, so...
Naturally.
Go listen to that. It's fucking great.
This was the least surprising rec segment we'll ever have.
Like, if you follow me on, like, Twitter and all, that's, like, all I've been tweeting about for the last, like, 4 days, so. Yeah. Next week we're watching Shocker from Wes Craven. So at least a movie we enjoy.
Starting to think that you're just wrecking all the like solid Wes Craven type films to make me look extra bad.
I just like I bought the Blu-ray
When I'm
and I
wrecking
was
shit like that happens.
well, I mean, I bought like a bunch of shit over the last like couple months that I've just been kind of like working my way through, but it's like shit that I think is like would be interesting for the podcast. I was like, oh, well, we should do like Shocker or like Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead and fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre: Next Generation.
So down for Next Generation.
Yes, I did buy Wicker Man finally too, and I'm fucking
Oh yeah,
very excited to rewatch.
the bees finally convinced you.
I mean, I don't know why I didn't own it already, but because that movie is very terribly good. Yeah, watch Shocker. I don't think we've discussed what we're gonna do the week after yet. Whenever Katie gets back, we're gonna do Swim Fan.
Oh yeah,
You know what we should do after Shocker? Eight-Legged Freaks.
I'm in.
All right, there you go. Shocker and Eight-Legged Freaks. Yeah, follow us on Twitter at I Hope You Suffer, Facebook at I Hope You Suffer Pod, Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Tell us what this fucking garbage movie was about if you've seen it and you understand any of it. If you do understand any of it, I'm gonna block you immediately because
I'm so sorry about your life.
you've got something going on that I don't want any part of. Yeah, that's all I got. I hope you suffer, but why?